Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to College Coaching Network Social Spotlight Live. It feels like it has been so long, but we
Yes.
are super excited because this morning with us, we have the very beautiful Miss Jessica Nollett. She has agreed to take our 10-10 challenge. So, Claude's going to ask her 10 questions all about her very first job, and then we'll get to learn about her current role. I will say that she is in the banking world. So we're going to dive in. Claude's going to start with the questions, and then we're going to get to know a little bit more about Miss Jessica.
Yes. So, Jessica, thank you so much for coming out. We're excited about learning more about your story, but I need to find out, are you ready for the 10-10 challenge?
Yes, thank you for having me, and I am ready to see what I can remember from my first job.
All right, let's jump to it. All right, so you have 10 seconds, 10 questions, all about your very first job. So the first question is, drum roll, please. How old were you when you worked on your first job,
15.
Oh, wow. Wow, you started pretty early. Was that legal back then?
Yes, it was, and I wanted to buy clothes, so that's how I got it.
All right, okay. So what was your title or position in your first job?
Ooh, it was a really cool. I made the onion rings at Runza, which is a fast food chain predominantly in Nebraska. So I was the ring girl.
I've had Runza. Runza is good.
Oh, God.
It is.
Are they still open?
Oh, yeah. They're mainly in Nebraska. There's one in Lawrence.
Oh, wow.
I think that's the one I've been to, the one in Lawrence.
Yeah, we may have to go down there and check them out. Okay. So going back down memory lane, how much money did you make in your first position as a ring girl?
I mean, whatever the minimum salary was, that's what I made, hourly. And then I worked after school a couple days a week, and I would go and make the rings. So, I mean, 15 hours a week on the high side times what, $6, $5? I don't remember what it was back in 2000, 1999-ish.
Oh, wow. You are young. Her first job was 2009.
Not 2000 or 1999. It was, I mean,
Or 1999.
Okay. All right. That's a little bit more respectful.
I graduated high school in 2002, so I was 17 when I graduated, so it was 2000.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what were you working for? Like what goal were you trying to accomplish with your first job?
My mom said it was good for me to have a job, and she said, you got to go get a job. But also I loved clothes and I loved going shopping. That was back when going to the mall and just walking around the mall was a cool thing to do. So I needed money in my pocket to do that.
Yes. So were you I think I know the answer to this by what you just said, but were you a saver or were you a spender?
Both, actually. My dad taught me how to, do where you actually used to write in your checkbook how much money you had and to log all that. So I did like to save money, but I like to spend it too. So I mean, a little bit of both. I had a savings and a checking account.
Yeah, that's good. Dad taught. So did Dad learn that from his family, or where did you learn? Where did you get that? He get that principle from, teaching you how the importance of saving?
Probably from his dad. I mean, conservative Nebraska rancher, but also attorney. Like they owned a ranch, but yeah, that was my dad's dad.
Wow. Yeah, I love it. So what was your biggest life lesson from your first job?
There are lots of different people that you're going to work with, and they're not all going to look like you and think like you. And especially in the fast food industry, and just really accepting people for who they are and finding their strengths. And also, I think flexibility, just recognizing like you don't own it, you're not in charge. Like there's a schedule, and you have to show up when your name's on that day.
That what you said was powerful. Saying learning other people's strengths. It's that's very unique because so many people always want to talk about their own strengths that they don't take the time to actually look at the strengths of other people, because everybody around you offers something that can make the whole team better. But sometimes we only look at what we bring to the table instead of them. So that is powerful. Did you take a sack lunch or did you go out and buy lunch?
I mean, I worked at a fast food place. I just ate lunch. I think I got like half or something. I think I got half off or something pretty cheap. I mean, They used to have little chicken nuggets that would look like dinosaurs. I love those. I love their cheeseburgers. I love the fries. I love the rings. I was very happy to eat there.
Yeah, no doubt. That is what my daughter is recently applying to jobs, and she applied to Chick-fil-A, and she said that they gave her free lunch, and that was a big part of what she's thinking about considering the job for.
It's a perk.
Yeah, exactly. Not the pay, but the perks, right?
Yeah, I will say, downside, your hands smell like onions when you touch onions all day, and you cannot get that smell out.
Oh, wow. So what song best describes your first job, or what song best, I guess, allows you to know, takes you back down memory lane?
Best song?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, golly. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think about what music was always playing there. It was always just like the pop station that played in there. So I don't have a song that makes me think of that job, honestly. Sorry, I don't have a good answer for that one.
Okay, so what song was popular during the time of your first job?
I'm trying to remember. Okay, help me. What was popular like right around like late 1999, early 2000?
I would think something in sync.
That's kind of what I was thinking on, like Britney Spears, NSYNC. I think that was like about that time period.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
98 degrees.
98 degrees. Yeah. Now we're taking you back down memory lane, right?
Right.
Yes, Nick Lachey.
All right. And I guess my last question for you, when it comes to your first job, what would you tell the younger you about your first job? Because sometimes people get nervous when they interview or things like that. What advice would you give to the younger you about your first job?
Your first job, I think it gives you the basic building blocks for just understanding how work works. Like getting allowances or whatever at home is so different than having someone have expectations of you that then you get paid for, or you get penalized for. It's just different. But I think that was just really good. And I stayed there a lot longer than I ever thought I would. I stayed there my entire high school career. So from 15 to 18, I was there. And I think that was pretty cool also, just to kind of learn different people, make different friends. I had fun. I mean, it's just a fun time. I mean, when you're 15, 16 years old and you're working a fast food job, it's just fun. And it's not stressful at all compared to jobs when you're, 36 years old.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. So one of the things that we love, so you complete the 10-10 challenge. Good job. Congratulations. One of the things that we love to capture is just the story of where people begin from. Because a lot of times you look on social media and everybody has all these glamorous pictures and they have these nice houses, cars, taking these vacations. And, we don't always start out at that level, right? We all have to start out from Genesis and then kind of move on up, right? So now that you're in your career, kind of walk us through how you went from your first job and then into college, and then from college, what lessons did you learn going through that experience? So I'll stop and just kind of see if you can move us up to going from that first job into college.
So from that first job, I then went off to college. I just did school for a little bit, but I always liked having a balance of college and a job because I just felt like, I don't know, there was some balance in life as opposed to I'm all college all the time. And that's all I think about. That's all I do. So having a small job. So I then got a job at Buckle, and I sold clothes at Buckle. Again, I like clothes. And so that was a good college job for me. And also a nice way for me to be able to afford what I like because I got a good deal on my clothes. And then I got an internship, and I was doing business, and I got an internship at an event space and helped them. That was an interesting one to push me on my bubble a little bit because I had to do things like go to other event spaces and see what organizations were having events at that event space. So then the sales team of where I was could call those organizations and try to get those companies or whatever for future things. So did that push me out of my shell a little bit more? Selling at the buckle pushed me out of my shell because, that's commission based. And so you have to really work for it. And you just can't sit there. Money just doesn't come at you
Right.
in promotion by any means. And then post college, it was 2006. And so it wasn't the best time to get a job. So I got a job doing sales for a retail company that I did like the business side of the sales versus the consumer side. And I enjoyed being around retail products. I've always enjoyed retail products. So then I went from there, moved to Kansas City, got a job at Kansas Sampler / Rally House. It was not called Rally House at all then, as the men's buyer. So I bought for when KU won the national championship in basketball, when they won the Orange Bowl. I bought a lot of that apparel for that. So that was really fun. I stayed in buying for a while, but then I moved up the food chain, and then I was buying from China and from Pakistan and India. And I didn't love that because I didn't have any connection to people at that point, because all of my connection was via email and they wouldn't respond until the next day. So I had to be very concise in my thoughts. I didn't have a relationship with anyone. And I realized how much I missed relationships. And
before you go further, because that's good. I want to unpack that. That's good. But real quick, you have some kids right now, because you glossed over how you got your first job in sales. So you have kids right now that are getting ready to graduate in 2021 in May, right, from college. How were you able to leverage your education and all your hard work to get that first job? Like, what did you do to put yourself in position to go for, because there's some kids that graduate from college and they don't have a job.
Right.
And they do work outside of their degree. So like, how did you get that to work for you?
Well, I had a background in sales because I had done buckle. I had success. I had proven success in commission-based sales in that regard. So I knew how to sell. I also, am pretty bold, and I've learned to be fearless through all of that. And so I had no hard time cold calling people, and follow through, is another big thing. And so just really demonstrating, hey, look, I was able to accomplish these tasks in college. You give me a hoop of whatever size paper I need to have done by this day, I get it done and I get a good grade. So that follow through in college of just the papers, it may not seem like it's actually going to get you into your job, but that follow through and jumping through those hoops is the biggest skill you learn in college. It's not the actual material, unless you're in engineering or medical or something like that, where you need to make sure you know how to hold up buildings. But in business, you need to know how to achieve deadlines, follow through on the requests, and be fearless and really think and just spend that time. And so if you can demonstrate that, and then you can explain that in a way that makes sense to what the job description is, I think that's how I was able to get it, was just kind of making that connection.
I love it. And so what I'm hearing, I know Mika, you're hearing something too, so I'll back down, but I'm hearing you had self-confidence, you knew your worth, you had a track record of working diligently and perfecting your craft. You want to add anything to that, Mika?
I heard something else, because you talked about the transition from being, even though you worked B2B, business to business, you talked about the transition of then working with people that you didn't get to interact with, and how you recognized that that was not the place for you.
Right.
I think that sometimes students or even adults don't take the time to assess what's really working for me or not. So can you talk about how you were able to maneuver even through that? Because sometimes we really miss the mark, where we realize how much our work impacts our personal life.
Yes.
And knowing what works for you professionally and personally, I think is important. So can you kind of talk about how that transition worked for you?
So I thought buying clothes was really cool. Obviously, I've said I like retail. I like clothes. That's obviously been a trend of my life. But that doesn't mean I like buying them professionally. So I had to take the allure of this job that sounded so cool of, I buy from overseas vendors, and I look at and I get to decide, help make decisions on what clothing is in My big clients were like Walt Disney, the company I was, but help them find out what was on those boats or because it was also cruise ship, sorry. But take that back and say, okay, that's cool, but is that satisfying my soul, or what am I missing? I really miss that connection. So then really thinking hard of, okay, I don't like buying. I don't like yelling at people in another country saying you're making these too short of a shirt, you're taking too long, the color is not right. Like, I spent so much time being negative and being nasty, in my opinion, that I then said, okay, I'm done with that. I want to help people. I want to sell to people, because that's the exact opposite of buying. And I went and I got a job at Valpak, which is some like advertising space in those blue envelopes people get in the mail.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It's a hard job. That is a hard sales job. If you can do that, you can do a lot of sales jobs. I mean, you're calling nonstop. People don't want to talk to advertising companies like that. It's a hard job, but I got my grit in that, and I got to hang out with small business owners. I realized how much I enjoyed the small business owners. But that job switching, making that big jump, really, really helped me find a place in sales to where then I could springboard from there.
So real quick, I want to ask this question. You can do something. You can say, okay, I'm comfortable here. This is what I'm used to. But then you did a self-assessment and said, I'm not getting the gratification from what I'm doing to be totally fulfilled.
Right.
So it's one thing to acknowledge that, and we call that cooler talk. Like, everybody's, man, I can't stand this job. But you went from cooler talk into actionable steps of change. And so how were you able to overcome the fear that often is crippling to people, that causes them not to take those actionable steps? Because you could have actually said, I don't like this, and just stayed in that situation anyway. But what made you push past that?
Well, I knew I had done sales in the past, and I knew I was good at sales. I knew that I knew I was good at that. Also, at the time, I had just gotten married, so I had a very supportive, still do, supportive husband who said, take the leap, like, do what makes you happy. And, at the time I wasn't making insane money anyway, so it's not like it was a huge, hit and hurt to us for me to take that step. I was early in my career. If I felt like right now I needed to make a huge change because I did it back then, I know I would do it again if I needed to, just because I know the benefits that came out of it. Making big changes. I made another huge change when I left the kind of marketing advertising space and went into banking. I thought it was going to be terrible. I thought banking was going to be horrible. Literally, I asked the recruiter, because she called me asking me to interview, and I just said, I wear Converse, I wear T-shirts, because I was in this cool marketing agency at the time. But she's like, do you get to talk to your small business clients that I know you enjoy? And I said, nope, I don't, because now my clients are bigger companies and I'm not dealing with the small business owners. And I thought on that, and I'm like, okay, that is a relationship I really miss and enjoy. I'll give banking a shot. It had really good PTO, honestly, like that. The benefits were nice. But then making that huge fearful leap there, just saying, okay, I can give it 6 months. I can give it a year. If I hate it, I can go back to something else, but might as well give it that shot and see what happens. It was a huge leap for me to jump from that to this, but I love it. I've been enrolled for almost 5 years. I've had a good promotion. I don't plan on stopping on my growth in the company, and I've had success. So, and I love what I do, and it's not boring. I constantly break all the glass, the little barriers around banking, how boring it's supposed to be, and I refuse to do that. So I make it my own.
I love it.
Awesome. Yes, because I was going to ask, what was the transition from this to banking? Because that is totally two different worlds.
Completely.
Yes, but it's worth it. Like, honestly, you don't have to love the concept of your job. You have to love how you do your job.
I love that. that is getting shared.
Man, so can you say that again?
You don't have to love the concept of your job. You have to love how you do your job. So banking to me is never going to be this really cool, sexy job. It's not. It's banking. It's, this big old ship. It's been around forever. Banking is, it is, but it's necessary. Every single business needs it. But what banking gives me is the opportunity to talk to small business owners, to talk to business owners from that are just started their company, that have been in business for 20 some 50 years, whatever, that are buying buildings, that are seeing growth, that are having fun changes, that are developing new technology and software that you've never heard of before. I get to surround myself with really cool stuff. I get to see my city as a collection of these really neat small businesses, and no one else, well, not everyone gets that viewpoint. So sure, banking is opening checking accounts and helping people get loans, but it is also connecting, developing relationships, playing a cheerleader for these business owners, connecting them to other business owners, and feeling like you're making a difference in your community.
I love it.
That is awesome.
I love it, man. So, I mean, and I'm passing over to you, Mika.
No, go ahead.
There's so many things that you said that you just unpacked. I mean, one, the one thing I just want to highlight before I pass it back to Mika is you took that leap of faith and you said, this is not serving me well. And I don't know if this is necessarily going to serve me well, but I'm going to take that leap. And then you found out that you got greater joy, but there's always another level that you can get to. And so you took another leap. And I just want to make sure that people can listen to Jessica's story, because you built your faith muscle up. The first time you took that leap, I'm sure it was extremely tough. And the second time, I'm sure it was too, but you had a resource that you can go back to off of the first time you did it. And you thought in your mind, well, if I was able to do it then, I can do it now. And so you all have to learn that you got to take that first initial one. I think once you get, so I want you to see if you can just talk about, I mean, like to a young person now that they're like, I don't know if I should go away to college because, I'm a mama's boy like I am, or, whatever that may be. And they're fearful. Like, what could you give them as far as advice that can help them take that leap to go to the next level?
I mean, you're not signing a contract to live there forever. I went to one school fresh out of high school, and I made the mistake of I didn't look at colleges hard enough. I did not put enough emphasis on that time. I don't know where that decision would have led me had I done that. But I went to one college. I was there for a year. It just wasn't big enough for me. I had gone to a really big high school, and I went to a really small college. I loved the small campus, the size of it. I loved the fact that it was a Jesuit organization. I loved a lot of things about it, but it just didn't give me the diversity, and it just wasn't everything I needed. So I made a change after freshman year, and I went to Creighton. And again, I had the Jesuit, I had the tight campus, I had a lot of that. I just had a bigger school. And in that case, it happened to be closer to home, but I did not stay at home. Again, I just, you have to try it. You have to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. If you choose to go to college and you're the same town as you're not experiencing stuff. Like, you're just staying. And we have friends that, went to college in the town that we grew up in Omaha, and they've never left. And, they don't have the chief sports teams. They haven't pushed themselves, and they haven't put themselves in that. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable and pushing yourself outside of that. And if it doesn't work, you change. You don't stay in something just because it's uncomfortable, because you pushed yourself there, because you signed an agreement, or, because you took that job, because you chose that college. You have to be true to yourself and always self-check and say, am I happy? Was that the right choice? What can I do to make it better? Or where do I need to go?
Man, I love your story. Mika, you got to take it on.
So yeah, there was a couple of things that I heard, because I think our age group, Jessica, because look, I graduated in 2001. I think our age group really mentally transitioned to that mind of, because things such as pensions, they're like extinct, right? So most of like our parents stayed at a particular job because of pensions. Like, I'm gonna stay here, I'm gonna retire here, no matter what, even if they hated it every single day, I'm gonna get my pension, right? And so now, like, our age group is like, okay, what is, and you use the term that I love, is this feeding my soul? So to work that particular job or whatever that may be that's going to bring you joy. And I think students that need to really tap into that, because one thing that you will do for the rest of your life is pay bills. And so once you start, they do not stop. They don't go away. So finding something that you can have joy in that's going to pay those bills is very important. And then also I heard you say that you just gave something a shot. You know, who knew that banking would turn into this passion that you found, that you were, that you've been there for 5 years and continuing to grow. Sometimes we can shut down an opportunity because it doesn't look the way we think it should look. So I think that was a big part of your story that is like, maybe I should consider this. So I think that was great. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd say that's really it. Like, just because something doesn't look like it's what you want, or it doesn't mean it won't serve you well and actually provide things to you that you just didn't even know you needed. And so, when a good opportunity comes along, it's worth taking a solid look at and thinking about it, and thinking about how it can impact your life. Also there's some cool jobs that involve a lot of travel, but at the end of the day, if you sit here and say, do I want to be in a hotel room 3 days a week? It sounds cool, but is it cool? Is it actually cool?
Right.
You have to really do those gut checks of, is that what I want? To some people, sure, maybe it is. To me, no. If I travel once a quarter or once every couple months, that's pretty good for me.
I love it.
Koch, you got any closing thoughts?
No, Jessica, we really appreciate you. You are a big advocate for what College Coaching Network is doing. So from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate everything you're doing for us on camera and off camera. And grateful for being able to do some things with the community, because I know that you're out in the community doing a lot. If you have any upcoming events for anything, if you want to promote that, by all means, go for it. But if not, I'll pass it over to Mika.
Right now, no, I don't have any great, events. I think everything's still kind of locked down. We're trying to figure out this transition process, but, I just continuously push yourself and, gut check yourself and to make sure you're happy. I think that's the biggest thing I think that people need to understand is teens in college, post-college, am I happy? And, don't just settle for that career because it's where you are currently.
Definitely.
I totally agree. So Jessica, thank you so much for taking the 10-10 challenge and also being a part of Spotlight Live. Your story definitely, I feel, is going to be inspirational for a lot of students, because sometimes we can have that mindset of this is something I have to do versus figuring out, am I going to enjoy this? Work does not have to be actual work. It can be something that you truly, thoroughly enjoy doing. You just so happen to get paid for it. And I think once we get that mentality, that makes working so much more enjoyable and fulfilling. So thank you again, Jessica, for coming and taking this 10-10 challenge and doing Spotlight Live. Claude, thank you as well. And thank you everyone for tuning in to another College Coaching Network Social Spotlight Live. We will see you again, same time, same place next Friday. Thank you, everyone.